Flyp is a clothing resale consignment app that was designed for non-resellers in mind. So the idea is private people who don't have any experience with eBay or Poshmark can just put up their clothing, send it to professional resellers, meaning resellers like you and I. The resellers list it for them and then send them some pre-agreed upon percentage of the final net. The fees are pretty low, pretty reasonable, and when you send out the clothing, I think you pay like $9 in shipping that's deducted from your first sale. So it doesn't feel like it really costs anything, and from the reseller side, the people who get the lots of clothing, they don't have to pay anything other than fees to Flyp and the cut to the person that sent the clothing to them. On paper, it's a wonderful idea, and in practice, it's good. I used Flyp quite a bit. I haven't used it in a while. I was using it during a period of time where I was trying to avoid listing, the full listing process for eBay and Poshmark for clothing because of some chronic pain issues, so I just wanted to find an easier way. And I was really, really optimistic for Flyp. I sent out probably 15 or so lots of clothing. I pocketed around $1,000. The better thing for this video visually would be to show you a screen recording of the app in use, but there's no way to do that without showing the faces and names of the people who are reselling my lots or were reselling my lots, so I'm just not going to do that. The way it works is you take one photo per article of clothing, you describe the condition using some brief keywords. There's only a few pieces of information that you need to input, so brand, size, condition, like any flaws, and maybe one or two others. When you have up to 30 items in a lot, you submit it to Flyp for approval, and this is where things start to get a little frustrating because it takes typically about 1 business day, maybe 2 business days for them to approve the lot because they have actual human employees looking at everything and screening it. There can be some surprises there, so it can bounce back to you as not approved. There is a pretty strict list of brands that you must sell. You're limited to only those brands, and it's a pretty big list, but it doesn't always fully make sense, at least to my mind as someone who's been reselling clothing full time. There's just a few brands that I think should be on the list, or brands on there that are on the list that I don't think really qualify. They're trying to do some quality control. They're trying to not have it be a marketplace that's like a flea market. They're trying to preserve some level of quality of the merchandise on offer on the app. For some reason, I don't really get why, but they probably have good reasons for doing that. So if you submit something and they don't like one of the brands, usually it'll just give you an alert and say, this item is not eligible, this item is not eligible, so delete those or replace them and then resubmit. Sometimes, to my memory, there were a couple of times where that didn't quite work and it got bounced back to me after human review and said, you know, you can't sell this. It does take time to get it approved, and then it goes up to be displayed to the resellers who can submit to get the lot. A lot of the time, what happened with me is that nobody submitted for my lots. The first couple that I put up got snatched up because I think the quality of the goods was a little higher, and then when I started getting into the swing of sourcing at the bins to Flyp on Flyp, the quality diminished and the demand fell way off. So I would have to resubmit a couple, 2-3 times to get people to actually bite on those lots, and sometimes it just didn't work. So you can go through all this trouble, put it up, get it approved, go through the 24-hour cycle of it being in the system and waiting for people to bite on it, and then just there will be no takers. So it will be wasted effort, or effort that has to be recapitulated a few times. A piece of advice there that I found a couple is, one, I think it's definitely more appetizing to these resellers when you stick to a particular sex for the clothing, so just women's or just men's. Also, input the best stuff in your lot first, because it will appear at the top of the lot. Those will be the first items that people see when they scan it. And once the items are input into the lot, there's no way to drag and drop to rearrange. So figure out what your best stuff is and then input that first. Then once you get matched with somebody, there's a negotiation period where they give you some terms so you can arrive at a commission fee. So typically, I think it was about a 30% cut that the resellers took, 30 to 40% with a couple of 50s in there. It's up to them, up to the resellers, what that cut is that they want to offer. And then they give you an estimate for the total final value, sale value of the stuff. And then if you approve it, then the system will auto-generate a shipping label for you. So you throw everything in a box, tape the label on, and then send it off to them. The shipping takes a while to get there. And then once they get it, they're supposed to list everything within a week, but that did not always happen. Once it's with them, it's up to them how they photograph it, the prices that they set for it, and how they operate their reselling business. So it kind of is up to how good of a reseller they are, how quickly your stuff will sell and for how much. And you can screen these stores before you approve the reseller. And if you choose not to pick them, it'll unmatch you. They won't be able to communicate with you, and then you'll be hopefully matched with somebody else. But once you've crossed over that bridge, you're in their hands. So the skill level of resellers varies pretty dramatically. I eventually came upon a couple of sellers selling my stuff who were a little more competent than average, and I focused on them. So I tried to target them with my lots, and you can submit your lots to individual resellers that have taken your stuff before for their consideration. They don't have to want your stuff, but you can give them first pick essentially. So I kind of focused on them and tried to build some kind of a little relationship with them, which seemed to work out. Not always. A lot of the time, they just wouldn't approve the stuff. And then finally, once your item sells, your shipping fee, your $9 shipping, is deducted from that net, and then everything after that becomes your profit. That is withheld for some period of time and then becomes eligible to cash in. I think there's like a grace period where they want to see if there is a return triggered or something. That was a pretty long explanation, which kind of illustrates the main hang-up that I have with the app, which is just the time span. It takes so long to get from point A, sourcing an item, or even just having an item in your closet, to B, being able to realize profit on it. It takes weeks sometimes. Sometimes it takes months. There's also this functionality on the app where after, I think it's a 30-day period, you can either choose to renew with that reseller at diminished prices, reduced prices, I think. I don't know. I don't remember if that's mandatory or not. But you can re-up with them, or you can opt to have them send your stuff back to you. And I always just chose to renew. At a certain point, the app stopped sending me push notifications, and I forgot that I had it on my phone because I'd moved on to go back to doing eBay listing. That might have just been my thumb slipping in the control settings at some point. Or maybe that's part of the app functionality. I don't know. But all my stuff got sent back to me for the most part. I don't know if I have anything active or much active on the app anymore. And when I got the stuff back, I didn't pay attention to what was from whom, but I've been relisting the stuff, and about a third of it smells like cigarettes. So it really is out of your hands once you send it off in the mail. If you have just junk sitting around that you don't want to bother with listing, you were going to send it in maybe to something like ThreadUp and realize pennies, then I think that this makes sense. As a supplement to a full-time reselling income, I don't know that it's really worth the time and headache. I think I would probably prefer just to list a few extra items on eBay and Poshmark. But if you are just cutting your teeth on reselling, or you have no interest in being a reseller, in which case I don't know why you're watching these videos, but welcome. I think the app does make sense. I think it is a better option than ThreadUp, which takes even longer. It's even more out of your hands, and you get paid like $1 or $2 per item. It doesn't make more sense than the RealReal if you're sitting on really good luxury stuff that would qualify for RealReal. I think you'll make a lot more money there, potentially, unless you get someone on Flyp who really knows what they're doing. I think it also makes sense for if your clothing is not your primary niche and you don't want to deal with the listing process and that learning curve, like if you just happened to buy a storage unit that had clothing in it and you just can't be bothered, then I would say like flipping to a buy-sell trade shop might actually make more sense for you if you just want to be rid of the stuff. But if you want to realize a little bit more return, then yeah, flip would make sense. I am not going to focus on it at all anymore. I'm not going to use it just because I am back in the swing of listing. It is still hard on my neck and my back, but I've decided to keep doing it. This isn't really a negative review, it's just kind of a middling review, and for my purposes, it doesn't make sense as something to put time into because it does take time. You do have to take the photos, you do have to describe it. It is definitely faster than listing something on eBay. It's not that much faster than listing something on Poshmark though. So if you are a neophyte seller, if you have a little bit of experience and you want to get the full cut of profits, I would say just list the stuff on Poshmark. And everybody has criticisms of Poshmark. You can make money with it. It's very user-friendly and you can get started at no cost right away. And it's as straightforward as a reselling platform can really be for clothing. I have had a couple people in my comments saying that it is part of their full-time reselling income, and they said that you really have to prosecute it hard and you have to send out a lot of stuff, but that once you have a bunch of packages sent out and you're sending out a bunch of stuff consistently, then it does turn into a legit passive income stream. I'm not interested in putting in the effort to roll that boulder up the hill, but for them it seems to work. So maybe there is a strategy there that does make sense, that makes the cost benefit a little more appealing. I'm curious if you have radically different experience with it. I'd like to hear about it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope it helps.